Hello everybody and welcome to your very first video, not really a lecture, but I guess a video lecture for human behavior in the social environment. You'll all often hear this course referred to as Hipsy, which is just short for the human behavior in the social environment. Way easier to type and to put into things. But yes, you'll be in the course Hipsy 1 and Hipsy 2 in the winter. And so this is just a little introduction. I'm going to introduce myself, kind of what this course is about, and then we'll also have a video kind of going through the syllabus and the assignments and kind of the expectations for the course. Full disclosure, I just recorded this whole video on mute, so this is my second time doing this, so hopefully it works this time. So, like I said, I'm going to do an introduction, some of the course expectations, review the syllabus and assignments, and then there'll be a separate video kind of doing the overview of Hipsy 1 and kind of what to expect and kind of just a little bit of like dipping your toes into the content and what we're going to be doing in the next 15 weeks. So I will be your professor for the course. I am Professor Kelly Hoffman. This is my 5th year teaching at Kuiper College as a full-time instructor. I was an adjunct for about 3 or so years before I took on the full-time position. I am a Kuiper graduate, so I have been around and involved in Kuiper for a very long time. In between graduation and teaching, I was also part of the social work advisory board, which is something that we have here, kind of has people who are practicing in the community as social works help make sure whatever we're teaching and what we're instructing is current with kind of the climate of the workplace. And so now I run those meetings instead of being a participant, so it's kind of wild. As you can see in the picture, that is my family. There are some small children in there, so I've actually been on maternity leave the past 2 fall semesters, so I haven't taught human behavior in a couple years, and I am so excited to be back in the classroom in the fall because the fall semester actually has 2 of my favorite classes to teach, Human Behavior 1 and then Individuals and Families, and so I'm very excited to be able to be back in the classroom and having adult conversation and not changing diapers and running around after small children for all day. So, but that is my family. We have 5 girls and then 1 little surprise boy at the end. We range from 16, the oldest is turning 16 in a couple weeks, so we're driving. The youngest just turned 1, changing diapers. So get all of the lifespan and different age groups. It's a wild ride, but I love it most days. So my social work practice, the bulk of my experience was at Cherry Health, where I worked in a community mental health clinic for adults who had severe and persistent mental illness. I loved it. It was one of the best experiences, super challenging, but I really fell in love with that population. Just being able to work with individuals who are often marginalized or people made assumptions about, just being able to meet them where they're at and let them know that they had worth and dignity was it was just a really great working experience. Really increased my clinical skills, my crisis management skills. But yeah, a great experience. Prior to that, I worked with individuals who are experiencing homelessness, did advocacy around human trafficking, and did a little bit in gerontology. But it really does all the experiences. I've worked with adults and just really enjoy working with that age group. Why do I love teaching Hipsy? This class, because it comes pretty early in your social work education, it kind of is the first opportunity for you to really start expanding your lens of how to look at individuals. And so oftentimes we might see somebody do something or hear a story about something, and we automatically just kind of have this knee-jerk reaction of like, well, why did they do that? Oh, they must have done that because of X, Y, and Z. They obviously are a bad person or a good person. And we're looking at it through a very narrow lens, whether that's based off our own experiences or just based on limited knowledge of the situation. But this course is really going to push you to look at all different dimensions of the person, not only the person themselves, but also their environment and how those 2 factors, actually there's lots of dimensions, but those 2 main things really can influence and affect an individual's behavior. And so it really helps us build empathy towards others, not so quick to make a judgment, but it also then helps us be better practitioners down the road because we're able to explore all the different areas of an individual and then help tailor interventions to better meet their needs versus just making an assumption of what they need based on first glance. And so it's really kind of the first opportunity for us to kind of engage in assessment and looking at the bigger picture and really trying to understand why people do what they do. It's even helpful in your own personal life if you have children or if you have significant other, when they frustrate you, to kind of take a step back and be like, okay, maybe this is why they're acting like this, and to not take it personally. So there's some like life practicality around, but also the professional practicality as well. So since we are not in seat today, typically if we were, we'd do those fun, like, put your name on a name tent and then go around the room and tell me all these fun things, which I appreciate. I don't know if others do, because I like to be able to get to know you. So instead, we're going to have a virtual one. When you go back to the Sakai page, you'll see underneath these videos a comment section. And I want you to put your name and your grade level. I actually added on the Sakai page to also add your major. This course is required for social work majors, but it's also open to other majors. So it's just good for me to know if there's anybody in here who is not planning on pursuing social work. And then if you are a Kuiper student or if you're part of the Kuiper Davenport Consortium, that's also helpful for me to know. And then just put a short memory from the summer. Hopefully something good occurred during the past couple months, but just throw it in there. And then there's also, you'll see on the Sakai page, you also will need to add just 2 reflections from these to this video, the introduction video and the syllabus video, just to kind of as a check and balance to make sure that you actually did watch them. So just some reflections about like, hey, this is what I'm really excited about. Hey, I have questions about this, or oh, I am dreading this assignment. Just kind of checking in to make sure and hold you accountable to watching these videos. All right, so our course objectives and expectations. So kind of like I mentioned before, this course addresses how human behaviors are influenced by individuals' life environments and specific life experiences. And so we're kind of broadening our scope and looking at the big picture of things. And so we look at it from the generalist social work perspective. So we're not looking specifically at one group or one level of individuals. So like we're looking at the individual level, the groups, the communities, the global perspective. So the content that we teach you here can be applied to all those different levels of possible ways that you'll work in social work. So the generalist perspective will look at the relationship among the biological, social, spiritual, psychological, and cultural systems. And it's kind of this, how those affect human behavior and how they also are affected by how humans act. So it's kind of that give and take relationship. Also, we'll look at the individual as being part of systems, and so we are going to learn theories as one of in the first couple weeks. We learn about different theories around human behavior, and systems perspective is one of those. And so we kind of look at how different systems empower, impact each other, and so with that, we kind of relate that back to the role of culture and ethnicity, social class, race, and gender in human development. As I mentioned, this is required for all social work majors, but we're really excited when we have non-social work majors join the class as well. So if you're one of those, welcome, and maybe we'll convince you to switch to social work. So general expectations for this course. We utilize Sakai quite a bit because this is a hybrid class. We'll have once a week, there will be an online class. So Tuesdays are in seat, so you'll have to show up to Kuiper. We do in-face instruction, and then the Fridays are an online assignment. So these are not synchronous where you have to log in at 1 o'clock on Fridays to do the course. You have basically from the time that it opens, and I usually open it the day after the in-person class because there is some sequence to it. I don't usually open the Sakai page ahead of time. So you'll have from basically the end of class on Tuesday until 10 p.m. on Friday. That's when I make the assignments due, or 10 p.m. on the Friday. To complete it. So if you are someone who likes to work ahead, great. If you're like, oh, I'm just going to save this for the 1 o'clock on Friday and do it that way, I don't care as long as you do it. So unless it's noted otherwise, all content or all assignments are to be turned in via Sakai. And so if you need help with Sakai and navigating it, please let me know. I can connect you with people to help you if you've not had much experience to it. So assignments that are not connected to the online class, so like chapter reviews, papers, those are all due at 1 p.m. because that's like the start of class on whatever day they are due. So why I do this is because some professors will leave the Sakai link open a little bit, so if it doesn't get turned right at 1, there's like a little bit of a grace period. I do not do that, even though it can be more work for me, because this is helping the professional development piece of where when something's due, you have to turn it in by that date. So it helps with time management and planning ahead. If ever down the road you want to submit a grant for funding for something, and they say you have to turn it in by 11:59 p.m. on this date, you need to turn it in by that time, otherwise you will not be able to submit your application. So it's just kind of teaching that professional development and kind of planning ahead. If for some reason you're trying to upload it at 1:01, and obviously it's going to be locked, you will have to email me the email me of shame. That's what I call them, email of shame, and we'll figure out how to get it turned in. So just know that that is the expectation. Scholarly writing and research. So this course is going to push you to write in a professional voice, not opinion-based language. And it has to be an APA style, which is recognized in the social work field. And so Purdue OWL, this link, I will make sure you have access to that, helps walk through what all the formatting is, from the cover page to citations, in-text citations, reference pages. This is like your best friend for all of those resources if you are not overly familiar with APA style. Also make sure all of your research for papers and projects are from scholarly and credible sources. So if you're writing about gun violence and you're referencing www.violencesucks.com, probably not a credible source. So you want to find stuff that's backed by research, that has peer-reviewed is always really, really good. The librarians are your best friend to help navigate those resources. We have the Kuiper, I think it's one source or something. There's a link in Sakai to go to the library. Utilize that for your research as much as you can, because it's going to give you the most credible and valid sources, and it does help kind of, again, with that professional development of making sure that you're not just citing some bonkers person off the internet, you're actually citing something that has credibility to it. Late assignments. So if you are in a position where you don't think you're going to be able to turn something in on time, I am flexible and pretty understanding within reason. So emailing me at 2 a.m. before the paper is due is not prior notice. It needs to be a couple days ahead to show me that you're thinking ahead, you're not being reactive just because you didn't get something done. Again, this is to help with that time management piece. So if you are anticipating that you are not going to get something turned in, feel free to email me and advocate for yourself, and within reason I will work with you. But I do expect prior notice, and again, those are the parameters of prior notice, is not at 2 a.m. in the morning, although I might be awake. I don't really feel like emailing, and they might not make much sense if I try to email you back. So there is that. I'm going to do a part 2 for syllabus and assignments, just to kind of give you a break a second. So stay tuned for that. And that will give you all of the breakdown about syllabus content and then kind of the assignment specifics.